Hello there guys and welcome back to a brand new LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga video, and today is the first DLC speculation video of mine where I will look at the characters and vehicles that could be added from various pieces of Star Wars media into the game. Now don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new, and please leave a comment of your thoughts about this type of video and whether you want to see more like it. So in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens, it had DLC called Level Packs and Character Packs. So basically this series is going to be looking at what character packs and level packs could be added to the game, and within the character packs I will also include vehicles and creatures as well. So today I'm going to be starting off with the Mandalorian Season 1. Now as there are a lot of characters and vehicles that could be introduced, I'm going to be doing the first 4 episodes today, and next Wednesday I will cover the last 4 episodes of Season 1. Starting off with episode 1, we will of course have the Mandalorian himself. Din Djarin will have 3 variants, the first of which is his basic armour seen in the first 3 episodes. The next is a muddy variant and somewhat broken armour appearance, which is obviously in episode 2 as a result of his fight with the Mudhorn. And lastly he will have his full Beskar armour, which he receives in episode 3. Now if we go in chronological order, we will then of course have this unidentified Mithril Man from the start of episode 1. It's actually really surprising that he doesn't actually have a name, but if he was added to this game I imagine we will probably get one. The bounty is then completed and we meet Greef Karga, who would of course be a fine addition to the game. He will just have the one appearance as he basically just wears the same clothing all the time, and is seen in episode 1 and 3 and then later on in the series, but I'll touch on that in next week's episode. Din Djarin then collects his next bounty and goes over to meet the client, played by the brilliant Werner Herzog, who is then aided by Dr. Pershing and a small band of stormtroopers with worn out armour. Therefore, from this we could see 3 characters in a really small time slot, and that is of course the client himself, Dr. Pershing, and a new appearance for the stormtroopers with their worn out armour. The client gives Mando a down payment of Beskar, which is then melted in the Mandalorian Enclave by the Armourer, who is then the next character on the list. The Mandalorian then goes out to find his bounty and meets Queel, who aids him on his search. The Ugnaught would also be a great character for the game and would be very helpful in either repairing vehicles, if that's a thing in the game, or completing tasks that require repair. We then get to the final Nikto mercenary camp at the end of the episode, where we see 3 new characters to add to the game. The first of which is IG-11, who ultimately helps Mando in securing the package. We would then also receive the Nikto mercenary, which I think would be a really cool character to add. And lastly, we will of course get Baby Yoda himself, currently known only as the Child. So that's all for episode 1 for the characters. Now we move on to episode 2, and now that you've actually seen what the video series will be like, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. How can I improve the series, and obviously what would you like me to cover next after next week's episode of The Mandalorian Season 1, episodes 5 to 8. So as there is a lot of repetition within the series, the next 3 episodes only have 3 characters each, but I think they're pretty good ones in my opinion. The first character for the second episode is a Trandoshan bounty hunter. Now obviously we do see these guys in episode 1 when we meet Greef Karga. Obviously he's eyeing up the Mandalorian a little bit, but I think we obviously should have him from this episode as he tries to take out the Child and Mando in the beginning of episode 2. The next character might be quite obvious, but this is the off-world Jawa as they are known by. This would simply just be an appearance for the Jawas, and I think it would make quite a nice change, given that the fact they have black robes with red eyes instead of brown robes and yellow eyes. And this last one for episode 2 is rather different, and for those who have played LEGO Jurassic World, you'll probably understand where I'm going with this. But the last character for episode 2 is the Mudhorn. Now in LEGO Jurassic World you can play as dinosaurs, so why not be able to play as the Mudhorn and other such beasts in LEGO Star Wars. Moving swiftly on into episode 3, Mando delivers the Child to the client and receives his Beskar bounty. Now just before it gets melted, a bulky Mandalorian enters the room with a few others and picks a fight with Din Djarin, which is ended quickly. This Mandalorian is Paz Vizsla, and with his jetpack and huge minigun-like weapon, I think he would be a great character for the game. And then I'd also like to see a random Mandalorian also as a playable character, because why not? And they could also just look at the LEGO Mandalorian Battle Pack and just add one of those into the game. And lastly, we can't really forget about the droids, so I think it would be good to add this yellow R6 unit as a playable character as well. The R6 unit is actually probably one of my favourite looking astromech droids as well, so this would be very cool to see. Now we move on to the final episode of the 4 that I'm covering today, and as I said, there are 3 more characters here that I would like to see. The first of which is of course Cara Dune, who we first meet in that little cantina type place on Sorgan. Next we have Omira, who is the woman who gives the Mandalorian somewhere to stay, and I'd obviously give her the Relby V10 as well, which is the weapon she uses in the episode. And depending on what features are in the game, if we see anything farming related, then perhaps she could be really useful there. And the last character today is the Klatooinian Raider, the dog-like humanoids who keep raiding the village and stealing their krill. So now that we have all the characters out of the way, let me know if there's anyone else you would add to the game, but let's move on to the vehicles. Now in these first 4 episodes, there aren't really too many I would like to see, but there are a couple. So the first episode adds 3 of them, and I would like to see the land speeder we see at the start of episode 1, which is called by the Cubaz. And lastly for this episode, I would like to have the Blurg. Now the reason for the Blurgs being a vehicle instead of playable creatures like the Mudhorn is because you pretty much always see Blurgs being ridden by others. Now episode 2 and 3 don't really present any good options for vehicles at all, so I'm going to move straight on to episode 4, which only then gives us one option, and that is the ATST Raider. Now I think this would actually be a really great skin for the ATST, and I'm sure many others would like to see it as well. Now I am fully aware that I didn't mention the Razor Crest, and the reason for that is that actually that is coming out as a Lego set in September, as long as it doesn't get pushed back. And with that Lego set you actually get a code to enter into the game to actually unlock this vehicle for free, so that is the reason why I didn't include it in this video. So in total guys, there were 20 characters and 3 vehicles from the first 4 episodes of The Mandalorian that I'd like to see come to LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Next week's episode will probably be a little bit more interesting, especially for the vehicles as well. Let me know if you would add anything else from these first 4 episodes and whether you enjoyed the video or not. Like I said, next Wednesday I will do this same type of video but for episode 5, 6, 7 and 8. But that is it for today though. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the Force be with you always.